All right. What's up, everyone? This is Giovanni, aka Logic, and we're also with Gimpy. And this is just the guys, the Pop and Politics after show, where we're just going to respond to what the ladies had to say tonight. They talked a little bit about JLP and some things that have come up from 21 Studios. They talked about what is it, House Bill or Senate Bill? I forget which one. 107
California House
in
Bill or
California,
whatever.
House Bill, which essentially will allow protection for kidnappers in a way. And then they talked about Terica Williams, redefining the standards for professionalism. So we're about to get into it, but make sure like you follow us on all the socials, Metro Conservative Media on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button, thumbs up. Also follow us on Instagram and the Facebook, and you can reach out to us at info@metroconservativemedia.com. But first, what's up, man? It's
Not
just
much,
us
man.
tonight, man.
Nothing, dude. It's always funny because at the pre-show we had that whole conversation about talking about Pelosi's trip to Taiwan, and now tonight we're gonna have me and you comment about what the ladies talked about and this, but I'm itching to talk about that. Not that I'm gonna sit here and hijack it now either. I'm just saying that it's so rough when you got to make the decisions for what we're going for the week, because I know that that's a story. So much happened. You understand
Yeah,
that they surrounded the island of Taiwan since then with military
really.
drills. Yeah, since
I
she
had,
went.
I've been doing a bit of traveling today, so I hadn't been
Oh, I
keeping up
see.
with
I
the
see.
news. So right now I'm
But
in
and
Asheville,
also
North
just the
Carolina.
inconsistency of the messaging and all the stuff, and just the way all this plays out, and how it proves how hypocritical we are about Ukraine and all that. And again, yeah, look, I know how
So
Yana.
so so if you want, let's start there. Then what set up this Taiwan situation?
This hosted because she went there. She poked the bear. We have a very precarious position. We have a
So
position
why did she go there? Why was she going there?
because it's something we should do. If we support freedom and democracy, then we should be supporting Taiwan's government against China, and we shouldn't be afraid to have interaction like that. I'm sorry. It's if we are what we say in terms of the keepers of the peace and democracy, then and all this money to Ukraine to fight Russia, then we have an obligation to stand by our promises to Taiwan. But we play this game. It's a word game of one China policy, they call it.
Mhm.
It's and so you have Kirby talking about we don't support Taiwan independence, and then you have Pelosi landing and talking about Taiwan independence. How we got to support them and screw. And she's been like that. Look, we all make fun of Pelosi, but I'm a big, me, I'm a big proponent of you got to make all the pieces work. So it doesn't matter if I agree or if they consider me their enemy, right? I'm going to recognize the good parts. Pelosi has been a career advocate for human rights around the world, standing up to China and Russia and other countries where shit goes sideways, regardless of whether she's corrupt as fuck. You know what I mean? They
I mean,
still do
does she stand up?
politician stuff.
But does she stand up for human rights in America? I mean, that's all good if she does it around the world. But what about here?
Dude, we have to do that for ourselves. I'm sorry. If you're going to think that, it's like thinking that these people would impose term limits on themselves. It's like idiots who think that that's a human.
Yeah,
You're like, dude, that's realistic. No, she
but
wasn't wrong.
how does that make someone noble though if they standing up for human rights all across the world,
I didn't say
but
she's
not
noble.
not
Did I say she's
in
noble? I
America?
said she's corrupt as fuck. If I said anything to speak to her character, I called her corrupt as fuck. I
Yeah,
said, but at the same token, I'm that guy who's even in balance and tries to get the most out of all the pieces on the board. So I take into account that she's good for the fact that she will stick it to she stands by that the human rights abuses in other countries, that's good for the cameras type shit. But she's an advocate for it. And if you're Caesar, this is the pieces on your board of the Senate and House and shit. If you truly are the president of the country, you have to work with what you have. You have to make those pieces work. And knowing that, you have to give credit to a lady like Nancy Pelosi, who's held American politicians to the fire about human rights abuses here in America and in other places. And I still don't think she's not any less corrupt as fuck.
all right, all right.
But that's what I'm saying. You want everyone to have A
No,
pure
I'm not saying it's not by my
like the
standard
basis
or
of the
anything.
question you're
But
stating is
I'm
a pure
asking.
mechanical thing.
No, but I'm asking, like, if do people want to be seen as doing all these great things if they do something great over there, but not for the people they
Yeah,
supposed to
but
serve and
everything's
represent?
selective. Why? So then you can argue that the guy who has
So
his
why
name
is
on
she
the
in
title
government? So why is she in government then?
to make money
So I mean, there we go. So
and have legacy and be Caesar
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It's
or
just
be Gracchus, really. But
so that's the problem with politicians is that they they say,
okay,
look at
yeah,
all
but
this good what I've done, and ignore the stuff that I was supposed to do for you but didn't.
okay, so that's the whole problem with politics in general that rely on a system of popularity voting.
Yeah. All right. I mean, you got to get the more votes anyway, so you have to be
That's what I'm
popular
saying. It's
regardless.
like you have to. That's how it works. It's like like it's the flaw in the system fatally. Like it's the ultra fatal flaw is that it relies on the fact that you have to impress people.
Yeah.
It's all sleight of hand and shit.
Yeah. It's all deception. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this
But by
this
the way, this
JLP stuff.
connects. This conversation we have connects to talking with what the ladies, what Maverine's rant. I want to just so you know, it's not standalone. It ties in directly because the standard of what we want from politicians is drastically changing. And
All right, so we'll come back to it, but I want to go ahead and talk about this JLP stuff
uh,
because
no, I don't.
that's
I don't want to talk about it
that's
because Black Chad is not here, and
yeah,
he is the one who has the educational value to be here for the manosphere. The red pill black manosphere. He was laying it down. Where is he? I am mad, and I want him to know that it is now live on the interwebs for eternity. That I am mad at you, Black Chad, that you bailed tonight
so
on JLP.
Chad, yeah, Black Chad, you definitely um yeah, you're missing the mark tonight, buddy. Because we needed you on this part of the show, but
Dude,
um
what are your thoughts on that? You are way more on that level than I learned about him through Jan. Like I only know about JLP like 2.5 years. So like you guys,
yeah, well, look, I don't think I know the truth, right? That's pretty much what it is. These are accusations, and what the ladies did from the shows is they essentially did what they tell other people not to do, and that's be the court of public opinion. And that's essentially what that was. They assigned a verdict to something that all the facts weren't there,
well, I want
or
them to
all
get clicks.
or all the pieces
I'm
weren't there.
okay with that because I want them to get clicks.
But I'm just saying, like, all the pieces aren't there, and I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
dude,
I
these are
wasn't
people
there.
who were long time. This isn't like so. To be fair, it's not as baseless as you. Okay, yes,
I'm not
you're
saying
right.
it's baseless. I'm not
Fundamentally,
saying it's
they did
baseless.
that, but
I'm not
like
saying it's baseless.
dude, it's a
I'm just
company
saying
that
we're
worked with
making.
him, produced it. It's a money donor that the money behind it is the guy who was a donor to him directly. He doesn't even claim that it happened to him. He just believes that it's credible accusations, and he's seen things with his own eyes. You have his closest friend in the world who was tied to him. You have other people who were closely tied to him. In terms of circumstantial, like what I'm looking at, you have him acting as shady when confronted by it, behaving in ways that we would consider are what of guilty people act when they're in situations like this to deflect or defer. He called, and if you watch the video, it has him talking about how that guy slept with his brother's wife or whatever, airing his dirty laundry to deflect from the fact he's being called out. He would never deal with anyone directly. To this day, they have no dealing with him, like he won't deal with the accusations directly, like even legally. So like everything that is being done in a way that makes me think if I was innocent, I wouldn't work this hard to make it so difficult for myself, like to leave it. It's a very simple matter. You should be able to clear it up very easily. But these are people like you're saying that
So how does he clear it? How does he clear it up then?
the dude, he has a guy who's saying his closest friend is saying that, right? Like a close dude to him is saying that he made sexual advances to him. He times, dates, let's have these, make them prove where these things happen. And now let me show my hand. Like I can't say exactly how you deal. I couldn't tell you, but like make them
So if you were in JLP's
deal with
position, what would
face
you do?
down the
What would you do?
accusations, get a lawyer, make a legal plan and deal with it. Don't run and hide. And guy calls up on the show and asks about his, it's not like it's limited to these guys and their accusations. There are all sorts of events. But again, you know what the problem is? It's not a matter of these details, because we're getting lost in my mind in the weeds. The thing that the issue is that if it's true, then his whole brand is bullshit.
That could be fair.
It's
That would be
hypocrisy.
fair.
He's a hypocrite. He's like every one of the other leaders in the male movements that turn out. It's all when you look behind the curtain, it's all bullshit. They're all the great and powerful fucking Oz.
So, but I will say this about Jesse, because one thing that he always teaches is never put anybody on a pedestal.
Put anybody on a pedestal. He took advantage of people he had a position of influence over. Like that's
how do you know? How do you know that? How do you know that?
The accusations
Okay,
are true. Okay,
so
do I have to say that every time we make a statement for this conversation?
Because you're acting as if the accusations.
No, I'm acting as if this conversation is taking into account that both me and you know that these are accusations, and we're talking about if the accusations are true, the following facts become reality. Here they are. Fact one, the dude lived long enough to go from being the hero to become the beta of all time, right? Either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. And he literally pulled that shit off, if it's true. Second, he took advantage of people he took in to take care of and heal and bring closer to the Lord. He sexually took them for advantage. If this was a man doing it to a woman, we would be all over the wall white on rice. We would be going to the mattresses. Dude, we go to the mattresses for less. That Shelley was dismissive of all of it shows you that that's an accurate statement to make.
What do you mean?
Where she said, like, they're grown men. I don't want to hear about what grown men have to say. Like there's no one's taking advantage of anybody. But it's totally he used his position of authority and the influence and the relationship he built with them, you having that position, to influence them if the accusations are true. Sorry, I don't want to upset your.
So I just don't get it. Like, where was that other person's agency? Was it taken away? Was it like
No. That's a deflection, and that's
I'm not. It's not a deflection.
Because you're assuming this guy's. I'm not talking about the guy who he's a victim not because he doesn't have agency. He's responsible for ending up in that moment in time and everything that led to it. No, Jesse Lee Peterson, if this is true, was a man who was in a position of authority over them, voluntary authority that they gave him, influence. He was using the power and the word of the Lord to manipulate people for deviant sexual acts that are prohibited by the Lord. So, if true, he is the hypocrite of the year, maybe the century, maybe since the turn of the millennium, because he has been preaching since the 90s. Homosexuals are the failing of all humanity. And it's all to cover for the fact that he's a grooming homosexual.
So how do you
can groom anybody at any age?
You don't groom grown men, bro.
Dude, these are broken men. You saw these idiots. Like, I feel bad for them. They're pathetic. They sound like I'm a married guy for a decade who turns out to be a homosexual, and the guy, if true, the guy who has been my close spiritual, compassionate friend turns out to be my sexual predator.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it, man, but some of it just don't. It just doesn't make sense, man. If you
a lot of it doesn't make sense, but a lot of it doesn't make sense on the Jesse Lee Peterson side of the line, like stuff that's blatantly easy to deal with by dealing with it head on and not hiding from it endlessly.
So let me ask this: then is no comment an admission of guilt?
No, he's not saying no comment. He's running. He's not standing these guys down when
they're how is that running? How is it running if you
dude, he's literally you watch him video him walking down the street casting aspersion back at the guy talking tell them how you slept with your brother's wife. I mean, that's literally on film.
I don't know, man. Look, I'm just saying I guess the court of public opinion is going to have
It's been around. That's the other thing we learned. This isn't new.
I just know like he's been around for a while. He still does his thing, whatever he does, whatever he's doing. Um, and I just don't have enough evidence to make a decision either
So
way.
can I
Plus,
ask you,
plus
when does firsthand
it's not my
testimony
decision to make,
count as evidence to you?
huh?
Because technically, if you look at this in terms of legal perspective, all the people in the video are firsthand accounts of. Now, granted, there's definitely one guy in all of them, and we can talk about that if you want to. But I'm just saying that this part that I think lied to feel like he was part of the group, like it never happened to him. The story he told about it happening to him, I don't think is true. I think what he saw about happening to other people around him that he talks about is true. But the part where he talks about his quote unquote interaction with Jesse Lee on that level, I don't think it happened. There's definitely one guy, 100%. I do not believe that what he says about how Jesse Lee interacted with him. I think he's just doing it to like fit in with the crowd. But I do believe the stuff he talks about and how he sees going on around him, because I feel that's the stuff that motivates him to lie about Jesse Lee making a move at him. I don't believe Jesse Lee made a move at him. There's one of the guys there that's
So could this just really just be about money?
Is there money? They're not suing. There's nothing going on. It's them doing this stupid shit. I mean, and the money that people who gave money to Jesse Lee are on their side, and not even as claiming as victims.
But here's the thing about 21 Studios that has, what they've done is really just use this as a way to boost their platform, because when they started using the JLP hashtag and came out with this documentary, that's when they really got a boost in like their YouTube.
I mean, there's money in everything. We're capitalists.
So now this was like that was the launch pad, and now 21 Studios videos are popping up everywhere else.
Again, we're capitalists. You capitalize on every. No, what's the heartless saying? No crisis should you shouldn't fail to capitalize on any crisis or whatever it is. Like capitalism is cold. It's heartless. You make money to make money, man. Like I'm not. Yes, then all of society is flawed, and you may as well be a communist. Otherwise, you're picking and choosing because you're picking and choosing that capitalism, acting as a capitalist.
No, I think you're stretching. I think you're stretching the argument, man. Because
I'm just trying to say, like, I don't care that they're making money. Like, making money is irrelevant.
So it's true that sex sells.
Jesse Lee made an empire on it.
It's true that sex sells. Then, like, even if it's with JLP.
Yeah. Sex sells. Drama sells.
It's true that sex sells, even if it's JLP.
Sex sells. Any sort of controversial deviancy today sells. Anything like that. If we had some sort of sex scandal where, so that we have no problems going forward, the next little bit is purely fictitious. It's humorous. Nothing I'm about to say is real or is actual or ever happened. So like, there's no confusing that we have problems in the future. But like, let's say Ben Crump sexually molests you during the lawsuit.
That wouldn't happen.
No, right. But if it did, that would sell. That would make us famous. That would blow us through the roof.
Why would you even use that as an example?
Because it's absurd. The absurdity of it. It's the actual, and it's just simple. I'm looking at you, and it's piecing. It's the mental piecing. I'm fine. Fucking sexually molested me. You feel better? I mean, I don't care. Okay, there you go. Like it doesn't matter. The sex sells. Like it's never gonna happen. Like I said, but that would make us famous instantly. Like instantly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but
it doesn't matter.
I would say, look,
we're a broken society.
And one thing I will say this, like, people want to see others fail, like, just to confirm their own biases as well, right? So they might not like a piece of, let's say, Jesse's message or something. Oh, yeah, now it's
guilty as fuck.
Now it's happy. Now you're happy to see someone else fall.
Yeah, but that's the flaws in human behavior. I think you're cherry picking.
I'm not cherry picking. I'm saying why everyone should get the right to due process, and that's where I'm reserving my judgment, is because whether I like them or
What
not,
due
I
process
don't.
is there? They're not claiming he raped them. They're claiming it was. They're not saying it was non-consensual. No one is saying I said no and he
Well,
kept going.
here's the thing. I'm only hearing one side of the story, regardless of Jesse running or whatever. Like you're only still hearing one side
Yeah,
of the
but
story.
the running is the no com. Okay, even though it's oversimplifying it, the no comment, the running away, whatever, is a statement. I'm sorry, words alone don't make statements. Everything else is part of the statement. The whole handling of it
So
is a
so what? So
statement.
let me ask this: what if his lawyers? What if he advised, like, was advised from lawyers to stay away from the situation?
Okay, good. So then we would know that. It would be
Why?
out there, that
Why?
information.
Why would we know that? Like,
Because
why would that be?
because if lawyers, so the way it would work is if lawyers advise them to stay away from it, lawyers would start taking steps to create an environment that kept them away. They would
Like
file
what?
cease and desist letters that would be public record at that, like that. They would
They
have to
did.
file
They did.
what what cease and the only thing is they got a court order against the one dude for
So
being
that was something for lawyers to get involved with,
No,
right?
no.
So
But I'm saying,
so
like, he's never denied or have made any statements towards the allegations, and anytime he has anything we see about it, and it's been on his show live on the air. We saw that it happened. Is like he behaves in a manner that turns it into a. Forget about everything else that you saw in that documentary. That live clip, if that's, and I'm not saying anything if that is exactly how it went down. There's no altering to that clip, right? Of what that phone call about the whole thing. That's not how you would handle it. There's nothing beta about what that guy did. He's totally being defensive there, Jesse Lee Peterson, like talking about, oh, everything that happens out there is fake. But what happens out where is fake? What are you talking about? He asked you a simple question, like, why did
are
you
you talking about
lock
the
your
Twitter?
account?
The Twitter
What?
thing? The Twitter thing?
Yeah. Like
Well,
he had a total meltdown for no, and you're a seasoned professional to have a total meltdown and then hang up the phone. That's the thing that sold me that there's more to it, that it's avoidance, that there is a statement that he couldn't even simply say, my guy did it. If it really is what he tried to angle it as, right? I don't handle my own Twitter. It would be like the people who handle my Twitter did that. They've been dealt with, appropriately. And beyond that, I don't see how any of it's your concern, right? Like, and just clear the air and handle
yeah.
it calmly like an adult. No, he had that. You're being a little girl or beta on this guy who's just asking a single question over, and who looks like a beta in that? Did he look good? I mean, dude, you're a strong, powerful man. Anything in that moment make you feel like Jesse Lee Peterson was in control? Because he didn't look in control to me. He looked totally out of control in that moment. Like he had no footing and he was frantic and panicking. And like quicksand.
Yeah. I get it. Look, I get it.
That's
I get it
that
100%.
tells me that's a statement.
I get it 100%. But
And if you're such an advocate that gave people,
look, I will tell you. No, I'll tell you this about because I've called Jesse's show, quite a few times, right?
Dude, he called you for the thing. I had a lot of love for the dude. You have to understand. You made me a fan of him by not on purpose.
But look, here's the thing. Like when you call this show, right? They do screen the calls, right? So so he knows like a little bit about what you're calling for.
Unless the guy lied.
Exactly.
Right,
so,
but no,
like,
I mean,
so
I
if you're calling about that,
I understand the guy.
if you're calling about that, why not call?
Create the.
Why not call with your intended question?
Because okay, and then my argument back is they can stonewall him because they get to filter out what they don't want to deal with. If they're purposefully avoiding that, then the viewer will never even know the opportunity had in that moment. Him deceiving got the truth out, and the truth is that Jesse wasn't prepared to deal with a confrontation regarding something as simple that if it was what he was trying to say, it was that someone on the staff who handles the Twitter fucked up.
Yeah.
Didn't make me feel like he A, can control his own staff, minimum. B, that he knows what the fuck is going on with his Twitter. And C, he didn't look like he was much of an honest person at that moment. And the key element is like you keep getting us lost in the weeds on this. And I get it because I understand. And I am not saying the man is guilty. Everything I say is in the terms of the only thing I say that in absolute is that clip about the live show shit. That makes me feel like he's guilty. That's the thing that makes me feel like there's something there. Everything else is alleged. But allegedly, if this shit is true, He is a liar who has made millions upon millions off of a singular lie to be a brand. And it was all like true hypocrisy. Like true.
Well, I'll leave it at that, man. But yeah, I mean, we'll leave it right there. Like, I just say the jury's still out.
Yes, yep. Fine.
I will say this. I will say this. I do
Innocent
think
until proven guilty.
I do think there should be something he should do to address it. I do
Definitely
think
not what we're seeing.
I think he should do something to address it. But I mean that's all it is. That's all I'm gonna say on that. So the jury's still out. All right, so let's go over to California, man. Like
I can't do. I don't even know how
ironically,
that works. I have so many technical questions about that. Like,
ironically, what you don't know what works.
How that bill can work, because you're not wrong. It's like legalizing kidnapping. So like what defines in a court case if I'm okay, so we're prosecuting our imaginary friend who's in the stream with us because I'm not allowed to pick on me and you and not make it seem weird or whatever, because that seems to be a problem lately. And yeah, so imaginary Bob, who's in the room with us, right? He brings some kid to get transgender surgery, quote unquote, in California under this whole concept, right? And they tried to charge him with kidnapping. What's the threshold of proof? Does the kid have to go and have the transgender treatments in order for you to prove that you didn't kidnap him? So wouldn't that even increase the risk to children to being not only kidnapped, but forcibly mutilated so that they can create a legal cover for them? So like, I'm just trying to think, how do you implement all the different variables that create the standards when you need them to actually exercise the law? Like when
I think the bigger question is, why are we even getting to a point where this is being considered for legislation?
Because we live in clown world so again, we had this argument. You talk about this, like, okay, so for the viewers out there, we all have a Slack channel here at Metro Conservative Media, and because we have such enlightened minds, we have some very interesting conversations. So today we had a conversation in the Slack. How did it start? I can't remember how it started.
Which conversation?
The one about voting. The voter deniers. So KJ was talking about like why would we were having a conversation with KJ Giovanni about why would you vote anymore if the voting fraud or whatever, that whole conversation, or why do we run, or what's the conversation? I'd have to look at it. Anyhow, the point of this all is that we had this whole conversation today about voting and the fringe, like the Republicans running candidates, and like if people know, and you saying that the party doesn't matter, it's positions. And so like, there were people in the conversation today that were literally holding the line on that. Like electability is the most important aspect, that in November it matters if you can win the independent voters over, in the sense of, or normalcy was a word, people want normalcy or a return to normalcy or whatever, was used. But the truth is that we saw tonight in the show that that's absolutely not true, that people want fuck normalcy,
So what do people want nowadays, I guess? Like we got this Senate or House bill.
People want real positive affecting change.
So what is positive affecting change then? Because I guess
it seems that it turns out that we
allowing puberty blockers.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like that more and more parents are waking up to the fact that they've been on autopilot for too long. Like the trans is the bridge too far. This trans stuff is going to sink it all.
So hold on, I want to put up this comment right here. She said, "Can we put up the most right-leaning candidate that can win?" So KJ's asking the question. The most right-leaning candidate I can win. So that's, I guess, I'm gonna use this leftist phrase. That's on a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
It seems like the further and further, like if I'm standing right here, right? Yeah. And this is my left hand. By the way, I know it's like it might look like my right hand, but this is my left hand.
You still have your camera in the inverted view anyhow, so it doesn't matter.
All right, so this is my left hand, right? Yeah. And hold on, let me do that. This is my right hand, right? The people on the right. And if my right hand is just staying right still, but the people on the left are going further and further and further and further like this, then it's going to look like I'm fringe right
Yeah, it's what I
because
mean. It's how did all these people become right wingers? Because the left moved the
it's
line
the
out from under
yeah.
them.
So
It's the left
so
behinds.
so when we're talking about
It's what
the
Yana
most
called the left behind.
when we're talking about the candidate that's on the right, that's the most right candidate that's electable, that guy might be right here with the left. The guy or gal might be right here with the left. So is that what we want? Because that's what the Republican Party has become.
That's Hogan. What are you
I
talking
mean,
about? That's
yeah,
fucking
that's what
Hogan.
I'm saying. Like that's what Republican Party has become. Has become this party that's trying to adapt to fit in with
No, I know,
the
dude. That's
Democrats.
why are you telling me I'm the one she beats up on with this shit? I'm the one who tells her every time that people are fed up. They don't care
She
about it
says
anymore.
it's about perspective. I
Yeah,
mean,
but it
you're
doesn't matter. People are mad. Can you say her name? Our special guest again
who
today?
Maverine?
Maverine.
Yeah.
Big Boss Maeve. Because look at the fire she was laying down.
Yeah.
Look at the fire she was laying down. She did not give a fuck how right wing. They got more right wing as they were talking. I mean, KJ herself was in on it. Like, and look, I love you, KJ, but it's as hypocritical as it gets sometimes. And I don't mean it in a negative way. Please don't get upset. I mean it in a very like, you too are also in that boat where you want effective change to save your kids, save our families, save our country, save our economy, get us all back into working proper jobs and leading God-fearing lives. And yes, there's nothing wrong in having some God in your life. We got to stop playing this game that like an absence of God or religion is or how religion or people in religion fucked us is the problem. God did not fuck us. The test is always the test. Like, that's life. God set up a perfect test, and the test is that even the people who are supposed to be religious leaders will fail us, and we still have to find a way to keep our faith.
Wow. All right, man. It's politics, man. I hate politics, man. I
Yeah,
hate
but
politics.
that's the other thing I
I
wanted to
hate
say that
politics.
earlier. The politicians, in order to be qualified to be, let's say, president of the United States, the number one quality that all presidents basically lack is they should not want the job. No one should have, and no one who's qualified to be president actually wants to be president.
That was Trump. Trump didn't want to be president.
That's bullshit. The motherfucker wanted to be
Yeah,
president.
he did not
He's
want to
more
be.
qualified than some other people who have been
He didn't
president
want to
in
be,
my
but he
lifetime.
didn't want to be president. Trump didn't
That's
want to
not
be
true.
president.
Dude loves his name in lights.
He said,
puts his name on the side of all his buildings.
"Look, I will say this, man. Well, I mean, his brand. Like that's what he
Yeah, but
does.
he loves it, dude. You can. His name is everything to him. We know that in 20.
My name is everything to me.
No, but I mean, like, we know that he literally, like, people handle him in terms of the fact of the ego. Like, dude, I have no problem. He ran the country great. I was happy under Trump. I was a big proponent. I voted for him twice. Not my problem. What my problem is that the dude is an egocentric narcissist. Like, period.
I don't know.
Great president.
One thing about him is that he was consistent all the way through life. There's nothing new about Trump.
The 80s.
So there was nothing new about Trump. And what's amazing about it is that
except that he was a racist after he won awards from the NAACP.
So like he's been the same guy even in his book that he wrote in the 80s. In it, like he talked the same way. He's
authentic.
Had the same attitude. But why was he loved then? But when everybody told you not to love him or told people not to love him, that's when people.
So do you want my crazy theory? Do you want it? I'll answer this question, but from this moment forward, you will think I'm the craziest nut job you have ever met, ever.
You're going to say MK Ultra.
No, fuck that. That's retarded. That's some stupid. No, I have a theory.
Project Paperclip.
Maybe. But I have a theory about holistic. Like I'm a big holistic on conspiracy theories. We always get caught. I think the problem is when we think of conspiracy theories as single, isolated, individual things that are not linked together. But I honestly think that if we start taking a little bigger look, I've been working in government for so long, and I see how it's all interconnected, especially after how 9/11 changed everything, where everything went from being standalone to being liaisoning between all the agencies and stuff. Like, government is a very intertwined beast. So the truth be told is that, like, I think that the Hillary Clinton fix is the fix that people don't realize that happened. So Hillary Clinton, they tried to inaugurate her to become like a queen of this country, and they couldn't run a real primary against her. There was no one in the party. Bernie was the biggest thing, and they paid for him, and they knew they could run. But the problem was they needed a Republicans that she could beat. She had to defeat somebody worthy. And remember, Trump is a campaign donor to Clinton. He knows the Clintons. He's in on it. Like, I am a big believer in the uniparty, that there's the establishment in both parties is really just one singular party. So, and why would anyone go from being the power behind the politicians to being in the light, right? When you're a donor, you have power from the darkness, where you don't have your name tied to it, and you can straight influence by just paying for it. And then you bring yourself, it's a step down. So I really believe that initially Trump agreed to run against the Republicans, right? Because he had to scramble to get registered as a Republican, whatever, to be a part of a bigger conspiracy to help Clinton win. But then when he realized how much of a shit she was, like, he always
I don't know if I could go.
But wait, and he saw he could win, and he went off script, and that's when the media,
I don't know.
To answer your question, that's how the media flipped on him, because at first he's in on it with everything. He's in on this big push. And then after that, he decides to go rogue. That's when they turn, and everything turns on him overnight. And that's why it happened, because he went from being a part of it to being against it.
I don't know if I would go full, knee
I told you it's my crazy conspiracy theory.
I'm gonna tell you why. Is because he's been talking about running for president.
And he was a Democrat, and he said he would change to being a Republican. That really happened. That interview exists. Like, I mean, like, let's be clear. Everything he said he did. Like, right, I'm not denying that. And he basically said that he'd run as a Republican because it'd be easier to get elected.
But then he did what, like,
I'm telling you, he was in on it until he realized that he could do better than what they wanted to do, and he ran, and he went rogue, and that's why the entire media apparatus went from loving Trump, because in the first 6 weeks, they loved him. And then all of a sudden, he became the worst thing ever. Why? Because at first he's part of the team, and then he changes sides on them, and he goes in it for himself. And think about how they broke the system. I look so crazy when I lean forward and say shit like this in the camera, talking conspiracies. But think about how he broke the system. They literally destroyed whole parts of the government infrastructure and how it functions in order to sabotage his presidency. I mean, they lied about troop deployments in Syria to him. They undermined every facet of respect between the legislative and the executive branch.
So that tells you somebody else is in. I mean, that just really tells me somebody else is in control.
But that's what I mean, is like they went after him. Why did it change? Is because in the beginning he was in on it with that. He was a dark money donor. He knew, like, he's part of their team. Like, he's in that cabal. Why would he turn on it if it wasn't in his?
Well, I mean, I think there's some. I don't know why we're going down this rabbit hole, but
because it's always fun to go down these rabbit holes, man.
But it's like, one thing that controls people is money. And when you like, no one could buy Trump.
That's I think I agree with that. I'm a big believer that he was not for sale. That was the problem in the end, ultimately.
And because you couldn't buy him after that first 6 weeks, like, as you say, like, when
they couldn't
media
get it,
realized they couldn't buy him, like, it was,
and he wouldn't play by the rules.
But even in, and what's amazing about all of this too is even in hating Trump, everybody else did better.
He said, "I'll bring you along whether you want me to or not." Don't you remember the quote? He told them all, "I'm going to take you with me even if you don't want to come."
I just think it's interesting that
Dude,
they're
in
all.
100 years, he's going to be remembered as the most gangster, honest president ever. In his lifetime, they'll call him the biggest liar. But when he come back, they'll call him a crook, a shady businessman, all the things he deserves in that regard. He'll still get because he is.
Oh
But
yeah.
tell you the truth, he's more. I rather have him than Pelosi, who came in broke and leaves a billionaire, or AOC comes in broke and leaves millionaire. Because you
Hmm.
shouldn't be able to get a millionaire in public service. Being a public servant shouldn't make you richer than all the public.
So Giannis said he refused to play the game, and I said, I wouldn't say he refused to play the game. He just chose to play a different game.
Or he chose to make he chose to eliminate rules. Like I think the biggest problem is that he made two fatal flaws. Trump. One, he wasn't willing to go all the way when he should have sometimes. Like sometimes he was much more bluff than we wanted to give him credit for. Like we gave him a much more serious stance in certain things where he was much more wind, and because he didn't get called to task, he got away with a lot more. But that ultimately cost him because January 6th occurred. He should have never riled up the crowd on January. That should never happen. Why? Not because Americans shouldn't hear his voice, but he should have known better that they would be prepared to turn it into the world's worst day for America. Right?
So I mean, but like, how do you gauge that? Because it's like what
Because
the
you know
media.
that they're going to do anything at
Well,
any
what the
point.
media could do is essentially spin every. I mean, you saw when they
But that's my point. You should
when they
know that
riled up
for
the
years you
whole
got
Mexicans are
attacked, and
rapists.
if what you yourself claim that they steal the elect, that you Trump saying that they stole an election from you, they had the power enough to steal an election. So you don't think they're prepared for you to pitch a fit on the Capitol steps like that? That you don't think that you're playing like you're supposed to be this smart, well-crafted leader. These people have been after you for 4 years relentlessly, and they finally got you. And now you think they're going to make it like that you can just march 20,000 people to the foot of the Capitol and force the election not to be certified, right? Like, I mean, ultimately, what is it? I am not going to say that I'm mad. I personally am totally okay with what happened on January 6th. It's a riot. People should be charged like it was a riot on federal property. It wasn't an insurrection. I don't think it was some political upheaval in this country. It was just a general riot, right?
Be
Like
careful, man.
any Black Lives Matter riot that happened in the summer before it. But the fact of the matter is that what's the purpose of the whole thing? The people coming to make their voices heard to hear what? Ultimately, they're
I
not wrong
mean,
on the left. Ultimately, those people want the decertification of electors.
but why is it okay for them to do it, but not?
It's not. It's not okay for either side to do it.
But why is it so we don't hear that in the media about all the times that
Okay, but you never heard that in the media,
the
even
but that's
before
the
that.
point. That's the point. Like we don't hear in the media when the left wants to decertify election.
Yeah, but that's my argument I made in that conversation also is because she was saying how you can't talk about cheating, you can't talk about cheating. Stacey Abrams to this day still says that she lost by cheating her
Right. So
gubernatorial
yeah.
race.
So why
Hillary
can't
Clinton to this day says in 2016 they cheated for Russia cheated in favor of Trump, even though we know for a fact that never happened now. Like, and she still holds that happened. Like, no one's held. Again, that's the system. So to my point, what I was trying to say earlier, the reason is we're at the point now. KJ can say that if you think that there was cheating in 2020, then you shouldn't vote, right? Like that should, and then we're going to lose more. Is like, yeah, but that means if we're at the point that you shouldn't vote because the system's broken, then we're at the point you're supposed to pick up arms and burn down the
Well,
government.
here's the thing about the why why vote anyway? Because this like there's nothing new under the sun, right? There history tends to repeat itself, and now I'm gonna mention not necessarily an extreme example, but just there has been history, particularly from the Democrat Party, to alter and influence elections, and namely when the whole basis for the KKK was to influence elections because Democrats wanted to maintain political power. The first way was by calling, considering their slaves as people
2/3 of a
to
person.
count for population, but also consider them as property so they still can't vote. And once, slaves were freed and got the right to vote, um, they went so far as, the KKK intimidating, particularly blacks at the
Burning
polls.
down neighborhoods and shit. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah, but
There's
that's
that.
a little different.
It's
I
not
mean,
different. It's not different because it's altering the elections. You just can do it a different way now.
okay, so I will say, like I said to KJ in the conversation, I do not think that there was some large conspiracy of a singular nature to defraud the American public of the 2020 election. That being said, I also don't think that it didn't. There was no cheating. There was definitely cheating, but it was in the best way to describe it is guerrilla cell, like terrorist cell style, where it was independent operations happen. That's why he ended up with 80 million, 81 million votes. I was telling you before. How else does a guy who doesn't leave his basement end up with 80 million? Yeah, I understand people didn't like Trump, but 81 million people just voted against Trump. Like that's
In the
ridiculous.
in the pandemic.
And Trump got more votes. It's not even like his vote count went down from 2016 and went up, that he got the most ever votes in a re-election bid to still lose to 81. It's more likely that they ran like 7 or 8 different campaigns to defraud the election that ended up making them overshoot to 81 million votes. They were hell-bent. Look, again, I don't care. I'm not looking to win about 2020. I want to win in 2022 and 2024. Yeah. And states have taken steps to make sure that you can't cheat some of the ways that we think they cheated. And that's what we're going to have to live with. Otherwise, we have to pick up guns and start killing our government. And that means anybody in your neighborhood who supports the current government. It's not limited to just the people in office. So, like, unless we're ready to go there, we have to have positive faith in our systems then. Or let's go homage tour. Let's get be some solutionaries and find some solutions with our. I'm like, let's pick it. But someone has to lead us. We don't have a leader. The biggest problem is Trump is not a leader. Trump is a businessman. He's not leading anybody. And if he runs again, we are fucked. Because if he wins, they will burn the country down just to ensure that he is never remembered right.
How would they burn the country? I don't think they'll burn the country down. Because
dude, they allowed they literally financed riots for 3 months straight.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then they're going to be talking about January 6th, whatever the date is in the future at that point. Because that'll be a massive day of quote unquote insurrection.
Yeah, so they want it.
That's what I'm saying. They wouldn't burn the country down because people.
They would totally burn the whole country down. They would ruin everything in order to say, look, see, Trump failed again. You really look what they did the first time. Look what they did to our country, to the systems in place. Like literally, he was handed they literally printed money into oblivion to destroy the country. They did 100 million things to try and destroy the country.
I guess we'll see, man. We'll see what happens, but I just, to me, it's all in God's hands. That's
of course.
What happens. I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna do what's in front of me to do. We'll keep it moving. And KJ asked me, which candidate in history won a nationwide election?
Dennis Byrd.
Due to the KKK.
Byrd. We had a senator who was the head of the KKK in this country.
So there you go.
Biden has pictures with him.
And too, like when you look at, again, I did that live on the 8:30 show a couple of weeks ago, when I was on it. But when you look at the Democrat Party history, they say they've been in existence for over 200 years, but their first achievement for fighting for civil rights happened in 1920. So there was another 100 years of history that was missing, from their own accounts on their website. Now, during that 100 years, there was a lot of Democratic control power, like Democrat power.
Dixiecrats, yeah.
It was no Democrats, like.
No, I know.
It was the Democrats.
Dixiecrats, that's who those people are.
But when you look at it, like they held power for the majority of that 100-year span.
They have no accomplishments in civil rights because they didn't do anything in civil rights for 100 years because they were slave owners.
But that also goes to KJ's point of why vote. Like if I'm a black person and I'm voting and going to vote,
Because if you don't show faith in the system, then there's no reason for the system to work.
Yeah, but as a black person, when I go to vote, I'm about to get my brains blown out.
By who? Who's going to shoot you for voting?
No, but I'm saying back then.
Oh, yeah, I guess. We're not back then anymore. Dude,
we're asking the same question now, though. Why vote?
Because everything, like you said, is cyclical. Look, dude, you know what? So I saw me and Yana are walking the dogs the other day, and I'm scrolling while walking, right? Because like she's talking, and I'm sorry, Yana, you'll be mad, but like I'm zoning her out, so I'm scrolling on the phone, and I come across an article headline that's people are afraid to draw blood from monkeypox patients. You know, like they're having problems because techs are right. Mm-hmm. Sounds like the 80s, and with HIV, how when they would go to get tests and stuff, that you read about that when I was a little dude. And what am I like 2? And I remember some of this shit because it was so prominently a thing that like HIV scare and gays and everything. Now here it is again with monkeypox. Nothing fucking changes. It's just a different dress for the same song. So we have noble. We created a political class in this country that's now on the level of feudal noble. Literally.
Yeah. Well, there we go. All right. So let's talk about what is it, Terica? Oh, first off, hold on. First off, guys, we have a party coming up.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be on the rooftop. It's going to be.
You gotta come, but you gotta RSVP. Can you put up the Eventbrite thing?
Yeah, there it is.
I mean, anybody, if you guys come out, you should check it out. It'll be fun. You get to meet the mayor.
I'm not no mayor.
You are the mayor.
No mayor here. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so we're gonna have Nick P. Nick P is performing as well. So live performances. We're gonna have just a good time on rooftop downtown Baltimore. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Some good music, good fun, family, friends, all that stuff. So it's I'm looking forward to it. You know what I mean? Like
dude, just because I get to get out of the house, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my gosh, man, that's it's a month and a half away. So you still got some time. So donate to it. Get your tickets. You like I said, you got an RSVP, so we know you're coming. You know, we're accepting donations. You know, it does take a lot to do what we do, so we definitely appreciate that. Other ways to support us, again, you know, those links in the description. Color Communism, Common Sense. And there's also a couple other books on there. The Tuttle Twins. Do you have a book?
I can go grab one.
No, don't worry about it. You ain't gotta do that. But Tuttle Twins book.
Waiting, dude, I was so hyped tonight to have a fucking black chat in the JLP conversation. I came running. I mean, what the fuck? I'm still heated, man. I hope, Chad, you don't get upset that I'm mad. It's just like I feel like the whole world missed out on a possible great moment in history. Just saying.
Yeah, we're gonna have to circle back to Jin Saki and circle back on this one. But yeah, support the channel, guys. Just help us grow.
Get your friends, like, subscribe. Get the homeless guy who got the phone from the Obama program to like and subscribe. We like people, like anybody. You want to troll us, we welcome it.
Yeah, come on.
Send us your worst, your best, whatever.
And what's KJ said?
The
chat runs like JLP. Possibly.
She's merciless dude. Yes, he did. Possibly. He ran.
Listen. I'm telling you guys, like our team is something else, right? Because it's not like any other quote unquote work environment. Like we get on each other like it.
Dude, if we had HR, we would be so screwed. We'd all be in perpetual sensitivity. Dude, I would be fucked for the shit.
Like working with these guys, working with this team is like I don't know. It's just like life. It's like this is family, and like when you're in family like this, like you just say what you need to say, and there's no hard feelings. KJ's been in her feelings lately, and but she comes around and apologizes afterwards, but it's all like it's all fun. And then I ain't gonna lie, man, I thought that one time, Gimpy, I thought you was about to go off that one time we had that one issue about the what was it about?
Which
It,
one?
it was something about Judaism.
Oh, I don't know. There have been a couple of things. The one thing recently with Judaism that and the show that gets me so
No, that was something like with us.
oh.
I forgot what it was, but see, that's what it is. Like, it's like,
Oh, I'm
well,
sure you must have said something like somebody must not you personally, but somebody must have said something that triggered me. Sometimes I have like weird triggers on principle. Weird.
yeah, it's crazy. But oh, this team working with everybody is just
Uh,
amazing. You know.
we're all our unique own crazy. It's great. It's a
Yep,
lot of fun. It
yep,
is.
yep. And that's why I see greatness in everybody and everything we do.
But
But so that
we
goes
all
into
different.
into
But,
professionalism. Now, none of my people show up to work like Terica
so
Williams.
you saw, first of all, she tried really hard not to use. Can I get your thoughts on this while using? Can I get your thoughts on this like
Yeah,
6 times tonight? It was brutal. It's brutal.
but nobody shows up to work like Terica Williams in our crew. We'll say that there is some level of
She
decency.
doesn't show up to work like that either. Is the truth.
Well,
She doesn't go to class at university naked. She didn't
well,
go.
no, well,
She
she
took
took the
her.
picture. She took
She
the
did, and
picture
she
on.
got in trouble for it. The school's giving her a hard time about it. That's how where this is all coming from. Is because the school is giving her a hard time. She has to make a statement. Like that's the whole thing. Is like this is we're feeding the own monster on this. Like, yeah, you know why professionalism is dying? Because people aren't holding people accountable at work anymore. We're too busy trying to worry about the woke police and not the actual doing the job the right way police.
So, is there a way to hold her accountable? Because I
Yes,
mean,
yes,
like
yes.
in the
Throw
court
her
of
out
public.
to remove, seize her, like take her away her degree for a behavior unbecoming a student.
So I don't think you should take her away to degree if she
I mean,
earned it.
I'm saying,
Like
is
look,
there a way?
if
You
she
asked
if
me
she
a
did the
question. Is
work.
there a way to deal with it? I said you can do like that. Like there are ways to deal with it. Whether what I don't know the right. I'm not in that. They have methods, but no one does shit. That's the problem. She's going to get rewarded for it, like the lady in Maine who standing on her head and raised money off of it instead of getting laughed out of town.
So is the standard of professionalism dead?
It's being to use your word, it's being reimagined, but to take it one step further, regularly and ongoing for forever, because we'll never ever anymore agree on anything, like on standards, because everyone's gonna. There's always going to be the singular exception that everybody's going to agree to change the rule for, only to change it back later because it doesn't work for the other 99, out of 100 times.
I'm just sad to see, like, again, this is happening particularly amongst the black culture
Well,
because
you have a right to be, dude. You're black. I mean, I'm
I mean,
particularly happy that this is happening amongst Western society and a key element of its downfall.
yeah, I mean, it's like look, you want to say black women matter and all these other catchy slogans. I'm like, yo, put some clothes on. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
women
they
have
just
been naked
had to.
since the beginning of time. It's how society deals with that shit. It's like how KJ said it's deviancy everywhere,
But
mainstream all the time.
have some decency though, man. Like and plus, like when we talk about and this is it goes down again to the destruction of the family, right? I don't want my wife or my like if it was a girlfriend or whatever. I don't want everybody to be seeing her. Like that's supposed to be my prize and what I'm what I'm cherishing. Now everybody else can have her up on the wall.
Modesty is the
Like
most underrated trait in the world. Do you know the sexiest thing about Yana that I make fun of regularly is that she will always be conscientious of what she walks out in the house. She will not leave the house in just yoga pants. That's inappropriate.
amazing.
Her ass is not for the world to see. It's the only person
That,
is me.
yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's the sexiest thing in the world having proper modesty because it puts perspective on what's important. Her role as her, my woman, and your wife's role as as your wife and such is like, dude, those things are you're not wrong.
so
You
I don't I
die.
don't I don't think people really connect those dots though when they talk about, well, I
They
just
don't.
want to be free,
They
but
don't.
you're always building towards the next goal, regardless of where you are. Like you didn't get to where you are just to stay there, right? You accomplished something in college. Okay, so now you're entering into the next phase of life. but are you going to tear that next phase of life just because you got to this mountaintop or what? No, like there's this next level that you have to get to, and a lot of times, particularly, especially women, after achieving that level of success in college, they go to work for a little bit, but then the body clock starts ticking.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I
Yeah,
need to
but
have
they've
a
been convinced
baby.
they don't need kids either. That clock is detriment, so they do things to undermine. Like that's my problem. We
So
live
I
in
guess
this
nature
world.
isn't nature anymore. Like,
Well, definition isn't definite. Hey, to quote your ass again, redefining the definition isn't definition, right? Whatever that was, man, that was brilliant. I mean, I'm just not brilliant. So like, but like that was a great quote thing you said. But seriously,
I
they
mean,
they change everything to fit. It's everything is fluid. Gender fluid. Everything
yeah.
is fluid. Everything is in motion. Like, and I get it. Life is always in motion, so it's easy to use that excuse. But the fact is it only works is when we have anchors. Like, if you don't have anchor points, if they're just things that aren't changeable, that aren't allowed to change, you have no point of. It's like
Well, that phrase, hold on, crap, I lost it. Dang it.
the definition thing.
No, not that. I mean, that
That's
one,
brilliant. I want to find that. He
that
posted
one I
that.
said,
You know
that one
that
said,
Tyrone made a whole.
why are we undefining definition, especially the definition of definition,
Yeah,
something like that,
something like that. But hold
something like
on,
that,
no, it's
something
well,
like that. But no, not the truth sets you free. I don't know
here it
what.
is. Change the definition of definition. That's the piece of the quote he posts. But that's what I'm saying. Like they literally changed what definition means to fit their, and they have no shame. Like we talk about it like with the left being held accountable. Like you say this a lot about like the media and all these. Those pillars belong to the left. Those pillars of society are no longer neutral or fair game. They're lost territory. Like we're at the point where if we really look at it the way you want to look at it, connecting the dots, then we've gotten to the point where we have a fake government. No
Mm-hmm.
matter which side of the political spectrum you're on, you don't think that the government represents you accurately. And we have elections that don't matter because even if voting matters, we have no reason to for a variety of reasons. Either they're cheating or racism or again, I'm trying to be bipartisan in this statement,
Yeah.
right? So you're now at the point that no matter what you believe, we should be picking up guns and killing each other in a civil war because we need a new prevailing mind state or state of mind to guide the country from this total.
I mean, and here's the thing too, man. I think it's important for people to take a step back from a lot of this stuff too. Like it's important to decompress from being
Get off
involved
social media.
in politics and everything, because the reason I say that because there are a lot of people that have no clue a lot of this stuff is going on in politics and stuff, and they're just living life.
Right.
Like they're just getting up and going to work every day and what have you. And particularly living in Maryland and Baltimore and being between Baltimore and DC, there's a lot of things that you see politically and you kind of get entrenched into it because we're kind of in the center of it. But if you go to some other states, like if you go to like Southern Virginia, I know it's kind of rural, whatever, but Southern Virginia, or you go to even like places like Raleigh, North Carolina, or Charlotte, right? It's not as politicized because like people are just doing their things, right? It's
Okay,
more
that's fair to say. Yeah, not
so
everybody's politics 100% of the time. Like
right. So it's
Beltway
very
is.
it's very important to like
Yeah,
it's
but
very
they also are at a massive disadvantage. People like that because it's a balance. It's a balancing act. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I always find it to be that's a very and I'm gonna sound like an asshole. I'm sorry. In advance, I apologize for sounding like an asshole, but it's a very naive concept to believe in. In that, if just decompressing from is like important because you got to live your life and you can't get caught up, and those people get blindsided left and right because they're
or
ignorant to what the people who run shit are doing. Like those are the people who walk into their job one day and don't see coming that 30,000 people just got laid off. Like
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
who those
I
people
get
are.
it.
The bulk of those people are.
But what I'm saying is that if people like us who are kind of entrenched into it, it's important for us to decompress from it, because you do start getting into um, that box of that confirmation bias, or your
Yeah,
echo
echo
your echo
chambers. And
chambers.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you get into it when, like, the whole country isn't like Baltimore. The whole country isn't like DC. The whole country isn't like the state of California, right? Like this not the whole country, right? There's some big political issues that we need to face and tackle, but it's not the
I mean, in
entire
general,
country.
there isn't much. Yeah, like
So when
I
we're
get
talking about picking up arms, right? There's it's really the I want to say the fringe, but it's like those people that are entrenched. So it's you and I talking about it, and then
but it's
Antifa that
not
are.
though. See,
It
that's what I
is.
mean.
It is.
But
It
it's
is.
not though. Like we are talking about it, but we're not limited. So like, I'll go to the liquor store, and the hillbilly rednecks and shit. That you'd be like, okay, where was I? I was buying cigars. Like I like
Don't
those
tell me you
little
were in
ones.
West Virginia, man. You were in West
What?
Virginia. You were in West Virginia.
Yeah, I've been there.
No, but is that where you were in the
No,
store?
no, no, no. It wasn't like that. But I'm saying like I was around here. But I'm talking about in terms of the type of people. I was at the smoke shop, like the cigarette store, where I can buy these cigars that I like when the ones I smoke on there, for the show or whatever. So there was a dude in line, and I was just struck up conversation with him, and you know, 10 years ago, conversation would have been sports, whatever, whatever. Dude, this dude was more than happy to just talk about his dissatisfaction with the government.
Wow. I mean, but that
And
should
when
be
I was in the
common.
liquor store the other day, literally all the people there were talking about what you would call hyper politicalization stuff.
Well, you can just talk, like when I
Like that,
say
but
hyper
we're talking about
political,
these are people who can barely spell their own names.
but they're
You
talking
know,
like politics should be everyday conversation. But what I'm saying is people like when we're on Slack, like we're talking about politics or what's happening in current
yeah.
events like every single day,
We also
right?
have a media company.
But yeah, but I'm just saying, but these people are talking about it as if, hey man, I just don't like what he did, or this
No, but
guy is
they're
like this.
not. They're entrenched in it like us. Like these people talk about it as if because they're tired of getting knocked around by shit. Like that's what I mean. Like these are the people who've been getting blindsided their whole lives by because they were just leading their lives and trusting the system. People do not trust the system on both sides of the
Well, you
line.
shouldn't.
Of
It's
course
not a
not. But
system to be
that
trusted.
means we're at the point. That's my whole point is if you no longer have any faith, like if as a body of politic, we no longer have faith in the system, we have to be willing to lose enough to go pick up arms to do something about it. I'm not saying we have to kill everybody. When I say pick up arms, I mean we have to become ungovernable. Like we have to fight the government. Like
So isn't that what Antifa does or the
no,
anarchists do?
Antifa does not done that because if they did, then they would have directed. They're not. They do it to perpetuate a Marxist ideology. What I want is I want a reimagination of what we already have. Like there are things I do different. I'd have similar, but like for example, I'd make
But
English
that's the
a national
same.
language. Like
That's
that's a small thing
but
that I would.
that's the same thing. Like we need to reform and recreate the government. Like it's going to be
Yes,
the
but
same.
I want to use the current structure of government as the basis, not a different structure of government. I want to use the federalist government structure we have. I just want to make some tweaks to the existing and remove some mistakes we made, or if we're talking about if I get to make all the choices, right? Like I get to be the dictator of the new United States, presidente for life. I'm saying that I would want to maintain the current federal,
So then
representative
so
republic
then
federalist system
why burn it down then if you want to maintain
because
it?
we're beyond the point of being able to fix it as it stands.
So what it sounds like is that there's just stupid people and not.
It's not just that the system has bloat that you can't just remove. You have because by just removing it'll collapse anyhow. It'll force collapse. Like so, you're better off just burning and starting over because like we have so much bloat or fat in the system
Well,
that
no, not that's not the system. Then
Yeah, it is. It's
'Cause-
rules, regulations, people, functionality, resource, or focus. It's easy instead of trimming and like trying to work with what. It's better to start with a blank plate and then just pick and choose, knowing where we made mistakes. That's all I'm saying. It's just structurally easier to just start over because we have.
So you would say get rid of all the rules and regulations and just start with the
Think of it in
Constitution.
terms like this, like software terms. So like we have, when we have America 1.0, and while America 1.0 is running, we build out America 2.0, right? We take the Constitution and the amendments and and the Bill of Rights and make sure we're more, like we fix language in the Second Amendment, like, right? We make the second, or we knowing what we've gone through, we just adjust these things to be more specific to address things, and then get rid of some of the stuff that we have, like make sure that non-elected bodies of parts of the government can't have authority or whatever, and we just soft stand up, and then just take down 1.0 and leave 2.0 standing as the new production environment. I mean, like that to me is easier than going through and writing all sorts of patches and security work updates for America 1.0.
But it's like all this stuff was done to make efficiency happen, and you just bloated it up, like you said.
Right,
It's
and
not.
trimming it down with security updates is just going to have a different form of bogging down the system because you're going to need more behind the scenes, more RAM that the government doesn't have. Like we need a fat reset to just get rid of our debt.
Uninstall the programs.
So, but that's what I mean. So, let's get rid of our debt. How do you do that? Let's literally topple the current government, put a new government in, have a new constitution.
So what's the difference between what you're proposing then and what Antifa or anybody else is proposing?
A different system of government. I want the same system of government. I just want to take into account that we get to do.
So you're saying they're correct in the process, just they're incorrect in the aim.
I'm not saying that. Our founding fathers fucking said that, dude. And you know that our founding fathers said that the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time. The tree of liberty must be refreshed with the blood of patriots and tyrants alike. Tyrants and patriots alike.
Are we at that point then?
Our founding fathers fought a revolution for a nickel tax.
Well, I mean, I get it.
So yes.
Look, a nickel was a lot of money back then, though. We're
fine. So a $10 tax. Okay, come on.
$10 tax on what? $10 tax on what?
On the goods. Goods that. So basically, the shtick is that you would grow. It wasn't like it was. So it was goods grown in America that were being taken by the British as tax and then being resold because you weren't allowed to buy from anyone but the British government. So you're buying back your own shit at a markup. That was really what ultimately was the biggest problem. But again, that's my point is like you say, I'm saying our whole country's built on the fact that yes, when the government's out of hand, you put a gun to its head and blow its fucking head off.
The government it's almost like those things like that was put there so to prevent people from
they created, but what they created works. It's just we abused what they created, KJ. So in order to realign what works is just blow out what we have and put back in place a revised version of what we have to take into account what we know where the mistakes were. They started because they were going from a shitty form of government. Our government is a good form of government. It's just the people were irresponsible with it.
So just right now we're at the point where we're just biting the hand that fed us. And it's like the structure of government that created the country got us to the point where we are now. For us to enjoy the fact that we can complain each other on our iPhone,
too much to lose, dude. No one will pick up guns against the government because we have easy lives relative to what it takes to go. Dude, we need a seismic shift. There has to be a nationwide earthquake that wipes out everything, or famine, or food shortage, or power, or an energy shortage. because as long as I can come home and log into my internet and see my social media and play my Xbox or PlayStation or jerk off to my porn or
Whoa,
talk to
guy.
my
Whoa, buddy.
imaginary girlfriend in another country. I'm just saying, like, this is what Americans like, that no one is going to stop to fight the government because it's too easy to just sit home and ignore it all
Yeah.
and be self-wallowing, irresponsible deviants. And that's why they want all that, because it keeps us palatable, malleable,
Yeah.
malleable.
I can dig it, man. But I'm just saying, I don't know where we're gonna go from here. I don't know.
Or JLP guys, oh my God. She is relentless, KJ.
Yeah, yeah. KJ's worse than the Democrats sometimes.
What are your thoughts on that,
Oh,
KB?
what?
On KJB? I'm just making jokes at KJ's expense right now.
Oh, no. KJ can be worse than the Democrats sometimes.
Uh,
Just sometimes, though.
I'll be fair. The thing that bothers me about Jesse Lee Peterson like that is the level of hypocrisy. If true, the level of hypocrisy. Because it's not just hypocritical about being anti-gay and turning out to be gay. It's also the way you did it is the Christian bullshit you pushed. And it's only bullshit because of him pushing it, not because it's Christian bullshit. It's actually very good and important stuff for everyone. But it turns into a pile of steaming shit because you betrayed the trust that you need to establish with people in order to push this sort of, you know, knowledge to them. It's that. It's that hypocrisy. It's that yet another one of the people who are supposed to be the guys that we role model turns out to be another piece of shit. Like, worse than the worst. Like, that's what's so dangerous about that JLP.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
There will be millions of men who will lose something because of the level of impact he's had. Like, I know I'm not a fan per se, and he has an impact on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I am.
So
I
is
should
his
have been
reputation
talking.
tarnished?
What?
Is his reputation tarnished?
Yeah, until he addresses it, probably until he clears it up one way or the other. It's got to be this. You can't have this. This is a growing scandal. It's not going away. It's getting bigger. More people come.
So I guess that kind of just goes into just everything, right? So if that's a scandal, there should, and maybe this is a stretch too, but should people support Westmore because he's
No, I don't think people should support Westmore for a lot of other reasons. I don't need scandal. Westmore is a nightmare for Maryland. And even if I was a Democrat, I would think Westmore is a nightmare for Maryland.
But I'm saying, like, you know, does the lie in his books tarnish his brand? Like,
Yeah, of course
like
it does.
he made millions off telling
Of course,
a
because it means
fictitious.
if you're willing to lie about that to get paid, what would you be willing to lie about to cover up in mistakes and you made in office? Like, it sets the tone that you can't be trusted because you lied just to manipulate our opinion about you so that we would give you our money. Like, you fleeced us. That's like literally you're fleecing us. And you can people look, oh, this and that. All it is doing is making a reasonable excuse for a lie. It's
Yeah,
justification for sin. That's all it is.
yeah.
He didn't have to. There was no one's life was on the line that he needed to tell that lie.
Yeah, yeah.
So outside of that, everyone who's saying, "Oh, it's no big deal," everyone does blah blah blah. It's all just justification for sin. So like, it just establishes that this person is untrustworthy because he's willing to lie about his background in order to have a more marketable brand. Then why should I trust that when he's in a position where if he makes a mistake and and the lie can get him out of it because, elections and accountability and shit.
So KJ's a Westmore fan now. He says he lied about living somewhere. He didn't JLP anybody, so he didn't turn
Yeah, but it's just
tail.
that means he has he's morally compromised to make money. He lied about where he came from so that he had a more appealing story so that there would be a higher likelihood that people would spend money on what he wanted them to buy. That's just as bad as he's manipulating people And the difference is JLP did it to people he was close with, so that's a different form. Like I said, his level of hypocrisy is of like the ultimate, but like Westmore is bad for other reasons. This just happens to be a reason why he's a hypocrite for telling a lie, and it establishes, along with other parts of his character or behaviors, that he's untrustworthy and unworthy to be the governor of Maryland.
Yeah. So I will say this, man. I think this is important too. Like, you should never put faith in any man. Period. And I think when we have these conversations, it's because you know there's been some level of faith placed in a person, right? Like it get upset or say, "Oh, I told you so," or whatever, um, because it's almost like the guy or gal I have faith in didn't do that to me, or it's just the bottom line is you should never put faith in any person ever. Period. Like, don't put faith in man at
That's
all.
a pretty cynical thing, but okay.
No,
I mean, I know where you're coming from.
I'm not saying don't be cordial with people.
No,
Don't trust
because
people.
that undermines long-term relationships.
No, it doesn't. It
Yeah, I
doesn't.
have faith in Yana. That's why I have a good, strong relationship with her.
Which you're not. You don't have. You don't put faith in man. Period. It's not you don't build relationships. It's not you
That's a
don't.
weird way to say that, bro. Like, you understand that that's a little bit of a weird way to. I get what you're saying.
How is it weird?
Because like you have to
biblical.
have faith in other people. You have to believe
you
in
don't.
people without having tangible. Yes, what is faith? Faith is belief in something without having tangible evidence to mean that it. So like I have to believe that Yana isn't going to cheat on me every time she's not in the same place as I am. I have to have that, or I'll be walking around thinking that my girl's going to cheat on me all the time. Like that's how it works. Like that's humanity. Like
that's
your brain functions.
insecurity.
Like you have to have faith in other people.
That's trust. That's trust.
No,
that's
but
not.
trust is a form of faith. Okay,
It's
that's what
different.
I mean. Okay. Like this is what I mean. It's a weird way for you to say what you're saying because the average person would say trust is a form of faith.
Yeah, I trust that my wife's not going to cheat on me.
Yeah, but
I don't have faith in my wife
without seeing it.
I don't have faith in my wife.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I trust my wife. That's
trust is a form of faith.
That's not. That's trust. That's building a relationship and a bond between two people.
I trusted. That's okay.
That's why they have.
Again, I'm not going to get into you and fight you on this, but like you're talking about it in the perspective. But you trusted your wife before you were now. You trusted your wife before you had built a long-term relationship. You trusted her early on. Like you have faith in your wife that like she's gonna, or you say you trust your wife will make, like will behave or make or whatever, right? Like you would use the word trust, but faith is a synonym for that form of trust. The word faith also equally applies because you keep making it about like a religious factor. Even God himself would want you to not have that. Like God will want you to have faith in your fellow man, like to believe that they.
Where does God command us to have faith?
Love your fellow man like love your neighbor like you love yourself. That's where God. That's a statement. You believe in yourself. You have faith in yourself.
Where does God say have faith in ourselves? That's not faith.
God doesn't need to whoa. Hold on. God tells you should love your neighbor as you love yourself. Yes. You love yourself because one of the ways you love yourself is you believe in yourself.
No.
Yes.
No.
And that's having faith in oneself. Believe.
No,
okay. You have a very interesting way, a very different scope on looking at it, but I'm telling you.
You're stretching it out, man.
What?
I said you're stretching that one out.
No, I'm not, dude. Yeah. It's like you make it like that's.
So where does it say you have faith in no man?
What? How can you have no faith in man? That means you don't believe in them.
I don't.
Yeah, so you understand that's a hyper cynical perspective.
How?
Because that's saying that man has no redeeming quality. If you don't.
That's not saying that.
Yes, you don't have faith in them.
No, you can forgive. You can forgive a person.
Oh my God,
that's a
that's
redeeming
still.
quality.
Oh, you are so dancing around this, but
How am I? I'm not dancing
yes,
around it.
because how like
I
I
don't put
believe
my
that the
faith in
average
man.
person will
A
do the
man,
right thing. That's
person,
faith.
that person is not my save. I like that. I don't put my faith to idolize a person like
Yeah,
that.
see, okay, here we go. I think we need to start with the concept of how you define the term or the idea of faith.
It's this ultimate belief in this person. Like this person.
Why does the word
It,
ultimate have to appear there?
okay, so it's just like this belief in a
Okay,
person
so why is it wrong to believe in people?
because there.
No one's saying that you're believing that they're a higher power above you, which seems to be what you're implying is what people mean by that. But it's not. It's believing that
Well,
people will make the right
faith is
choice when put in a position of making choices is a form of faith in people. It's not an ultimate
well.
religious
Maybe I can't explain it right, but I just don't
That's
have.
what I'm saying.
I just don't have.
That was my whole point.
I just
You
don't
have a
have.
very interesting way to say
I
this.
don't have faith in people. You know, I can believe people. I can trust people, but it's not like this.
Interesting
Like
way to say that.
I don't put my faith in people. I don't put my
Yeah,
faith in
again,
man.
I put I put my faith in God, but I put also faith in people. It's two different types of faith, but they're faith nonetheless. They're belief without evidence.
I don't know about that.
Isn't that what faith is in God? You believe in God regardless of the fact whether you can prove
But
God.
regarding people, like you're looking at evidence, like you're judging the tree
No, I'm
by
not.
their fruit.
I will forever believe that push comes to shove, more people than not will do the right thing.
Yeah,
I have faith in people.
I don't have faith in people, but
That's what that is. I don't need evidence to hold that belief. I don't need to constantly keep a tally. Okay, I've met 12,873 different people in the course of my life. 6,420 of them are good. So therefore, it's still the majority. I can have faith. I don't keep a running tab.
man, I wish Chadwick was here.
I know,
Where's
so do
Reason?
I. Dude, don't get me. I'm going to trigger me again, and I'll have a little rant and have a fucking rant on
Where's
us.
Reason?
I mean, I hope nothing's wrong, and I hope everything's okay.
Yeah.
But you fucked us, bro. Jesse Lee Peterson episode.
No, man. All right, let's get out of here, man.
All right,
Look,
man.
September 17th is the party.
Yeah.
Make sure you are there. We're gonna have a great time.
Yes.
So
Like,
hit that
subscribe, get your friends, get your relatives, get everyone you know. Just steal their shit and subscribe and like to our page and then give it back. But make sure you like, subscribe.
all that
Color
stuff.
communism and common sense. Just gotta
Yeah,
throw it in there.
yeah. Check the links in the description. Total Twins, Color Communism, Common Sense. You gotta read Color Communism. It is literally the handbook of most of the stuff that we talk about, even without knowing it. You know, it just relates to all the stuff that we bring up. So you gotta check that book out. It's in links in the description. But other than that, guys, peace.